Hello folks, and thanks for watching True Stories with me, Sherry Beans. I hope you guys are staying safe and having a great weekend, beginning of the weekend. Anyway, I am Sherry if you're new here. Nice to meet you. We talk about all kinds of true stories here. And if you're a returning subscriber, hello, how are you? Okay, so I was recently checking out some YouTube, right? Because like, what else do people watch nowadays? It's like YouTube or Netflix, and I was on a YouTube, if you will. Anyway, I came across the video on the story of Chayce Pointer. Now, that wasn't always her name. Let me start from the beginning. This is a crazy one. So, Chayce Pointer was a young mid-20s girl. She had been a bit of a curvy, bigger girl, but after she had her first and only child, she decided to take better care of herself and became more physically fit and lost a bunch of weight, like over 100 pounds. And she definitely found some renewed confidence. Chayce was a 20-year-old nurse's aide, and she had met Robert Pointer, who was a firefighter in the Royce City, Texas area. He had been in the firefighting area for nearly 20 years and was acting as captain. He was described by his friends and family and co-workers as a gentle giant, a big teddy bear, goofy, funny, caring, charismatic, and just all around gentle. Now, when he met Chayce Pointer, he was still married to Amy Pointer, and things just weren't really going so well, even though the family still got along. Robert Pointer had two daughters with Amy Pointer, Natalie and Nicole, and these beautiful girls, you know, had a loving, amazing father. And you know, when they were going through their parents' marital affairs falling apart, it was obvious that something was going on the side, and that caused for Natalie and Nicole to do a little bit of investigative work, if you will, to find out what was going on with their dad. It was found out through the daughter and why things really weren't working out with you know, their mom and dad, really, essentially. They actually found him with a second cell phone. We all know that if you have two cell phones, both with SIM cards and phone numbers, that you're probably trying to hide something, right? The girls figured out that he had a second phone, which was then figured out that there was another woman. Many of his friends referred to him as Bob, so if you hear me jump back and forth, it's referring to the same person. Once he met Chayce, he sort of became, you know, smitten, but very cautious. She was much younger than he was, and although his marriage wasn't working out, he wasn't necessarily looking to, you know, leave his family. So when he met Chayce, Chayce actually took it upon herself to show significant interest in him, and she would show up at the fire hall, you know, just to hang out and ask questions about where he might be. During the relationship, they decided to marry after he divorced his first wife. It was, you know, not not too far into the relationship that things began to show signs of infidelities happening on Chayce's part. She would be, you know, having secretive conversations. She'd be sneaking off to go and see these men, sleeping with multiple men throughout any given day. And she would actually leave their 4-year-old daughter home alone to do some of these things, which is pretty irresponsible. 4 men that were in Chayce's life on top of her husband, Robert. Those 4 men were Sean Butcher, Danny Mims, Brad Golden, and Michael Garza. Now, of course, having this kind of a double life going on, I think it was only a matter of time before something was going to fall apart and sort of blow up in a sense. Throughout her relationship with Robert, Chayce probed on the life insurance policy that he had. I imagine this conversation going in a way that Nicole and Natalie had their mother Amy to help take care of them in case of worst case scenario that Robert was not here anymore. But Chayce didn't necessarily have a career in order to support her child, and I believe that in conversations with Robert in private, she probably leaned towards the fact that she wanted to feel secure and taken care of just in case of that worst case scenario. However, her malicious intent here to get this life insurance plan revamped for the beneficiary to be her seriously raises suspicious flags. Of course, investigators, after all was said and done, and we'll get there just a second, but honestly, there were messages between her and these other men that were saying things like, you know, Robert was abusing her and Robert was hurting her, and you know, she just wanted to get him taken care of. And this is literally like right after the beneficiary was changed and the policy dollar amount was raised to $685,000, that she was immediately trying to place some sort of doubt in these men's minds of a sense of needing to protect her in a way. By doing that, though, I feel like it shows a huge level of premeditation on her part, because like, if you're not out to hurt somebody, why would you even, you know, care to bring up beneficiary of life insurance and stuff like that? Like, that's that's a huge red flag in my opinion. But Robert seemed like a really, really nice man, which just it kind of stings all the more. Like, I'm looking for one of those nice men, and you know, somebody like this takes one and not only takes him away from, you know, his daughters and a woman, but then proceeds to take him out of the world. Like, what is that? The investigators didn't waste any time after their confrontation. So on September 9th, Chayce calls Robert to work out their relationship. So they were going to go and meet to have some tacos and talk about their relationship and stuff. Now, she ends up driving down a farmer's road that isn't even a road of access to like a cement paved road. She drives down a farmer's road and supposedly gets stuck, and then calls Robert and asks him to come out and to help her. And of course, being, you know, the life-saving firefighter that he is, he doesn't hesitate to rush out to the site of where she said she was to help. Little does he know that his earnest abilities are literally going to cost him his life. September 9th, 2016, 911 gets a frantic call, a woman who's completely out of breath. And if you're listening to that call not knowing any of the details yet, it seems as though she is in serious distress. It seems as though she's either being chased or hunted or sincerely hurt by somebody. That's how out of breath she is. And the 911 operator is trying to ping the location of where she is, because Chayce is just completely incoherent, you know, rambling on about all these different things. Officers find her through pinging her phone, and Once they get there, they can see her running around like a chicken with her head cut off, and they ask her, like, is everything okay, what, you know, and she says, you know, my husband, he's just been shot in the head, he's just around the corner. Of course they go to tend the man, and of course he's dead, he's been shot in the head. And she proceeds to just be talking a million miles an hour about things that don't even pertain to what's really even happening right now, like past things, like the issues in the relationship and her marital affairs and their fighting that they've been doing. And the more she talks, the more you're listening, the more she's looking not as a victim but as a suspect. Of course, after so long of so much coming out of her mouth, the officers decide that they should Mirandize her because she just doesn't seem to be stopping to talk, and everything she says is a little bit questionable, like where's that coming from, kind of thing. The officers try to calm her, ask her, you know, what happened, and she's proceeding to talk about the marriage falling apart, and, you know, that she was at a friend's house and that they were just going to come to talk, and she has no idea who shot her husband. She saw a dark silhouette in the bushes, and the officers are looking at her like, so somebody just, you know, randomly came out and shot your husband in the head, but they left you as a witness and you're fine, and like nothing's making any sense, nothing's adding up at all. She was sitting in the passenger side and his head fell into her left hand. She put the vehicle in park with her right hand. She just looked completely out of it, as though she was in sheer shock. And considering the situation and that she had just seen her husband get shot and killed right beside her, I would imagine that would send anybody into panic and shock. After hearing the details of her extramarital affairs, her lies, her deceit, her planning, her texting all these people and telling them all these lies about him, it just aggravates and irritates me, because I'm somebody who has suffered from an abusive person in the past, and that's just not something that you lie about. Like I have lost respect for people who have said something bad has happened to them when meanwhile nothing bad has happened to them, but they're lying, saying that to get somebody in trouble because they're mad for whatever reason. That to me is the lowest of the low, and you know, how low can you go? It's such a sheer form of betrayal. Like, how can you take a nice, kind person and then make them out to be a monster if they're not a monster? Like, Robert was seen at the Hurricane Katrina. He was hugging this little girl who was just distraught after the home fire that the firefighters came to battle. The girl was so traumatized and crying, and Bob took his time to stop his job to comfort this little girl who was probably no more than 5 or 6 years old, telling her, you know, we're okay, we're all okay, we're good. And there's photos of them, I'll share them with you guys. You could just see their eyes just so, you know, bewildered and beaten by the natural disaster that they just faced, but also, you know, the comfort of this big strong man, you know, helping her and making her feel like it was going to be okay. I could just imagine Natalie and Nicole growing up with, you know, a father like that, and how endearing that must have felt to be so doted on in your time of distress and need, to be comforted through that in such a, you know, teddy bear fashion, just is so enlightening to my heart. I'm like, aw, you know, how can you not? Really sad to see that somebody who, he was a good guy, he was a gentle big teddy bear, serving the community and being a reputable citizen to society and a wonderful father. And even though he had marital issues, he still, you know, made a friendship work with his ex-wife and, you know, kept in contact and things like that. Like, those are upstanding things. So to take somebody's character like that and drag it through the mud the way that she did is just so disgusting. Before they finally get the name Michael Garza, and they ask who that is and if she is in a relationship with this person, and she proceeds to tell them yes. So of course they go and track down Michael Garza, and as they head to his place, they realize it's completely dark, no movements going on in the house. They proceed to get a search warrant, and they get inside the house only to see that Michael Garza is nowhere to be found. Michael Garza is a trucker. Also, he absolutely looked completely suspicious after bringing in one of the other men that she was having an affair with. They discussed the fact that Chayce's been planting seeds in these men's minds by making it seem as though she's a battered and abused woman and she's desperate for help, and proceeds to give information. This man had no clue that Chayce was married, so she hid that very well by lying to everybody. Bob had been shot on the right side of the temple, and he was pronounced dead on the scene. After getting information that Michael Garza had been in cahoots with Chayce to plan this situation, next day actually, Michael Garza turned himself in and officially charged him with murder. 5 weeks after the arrest of Michael Garza, the farmer proceeds to unearth the shotgun that was used to kill Robert Pointer. After doing some diagnostic testing, it was determined that it was the murder weapon, and it was registered to a Matthew Garza, which is Michael Garza's brother. Now, Michael says that he had given that gun to Chayce because she had said she was being battered and abused in order to help protect her in stuff at home, but there's no evidence to show that Robert was ever an abusive man. There's no police reports, no pictures, there's no evidence of any kind, and Chayce tries to explain that away by saying that she didn't want to contact the police because she didn't want to get him in trouble and make him lose his job because he was a respected person in the community. I don't actually believe that. On July 20th, after a lengthy trial, Michael Garza was sentenced to 99 years in prison. After only 4 hours of deliberation, Chayce Pointer was determined guilty. She got life in prison as well and will be eligible for parole in 30 years, which I don't think she will ever get. Like, absolutely unbelievable, you know? So I because of that feeling, I was like, I've got to share this story with you guys because I've got to know what you think of this. Like, I need to know what y'all are thinking because this is just crazy. How a woman could go and lie about a man who's a good man and then turn around and plan and kill him just to take money. Like, what is that? I'm sorry, but it baffles me and I cannot even imagine. Such a waste of skin she is, right? Definitely want to hear your thoughts. I feel like I know you guys are all going to kind of be on the same page, but please share your thoughts, okay? Thank you guys for watching True Stories with me. I will be doing a personal update soon for those of you that are following my pain journey. So thank you all for being here and much love, and we'll see you again in the next one. Stay safe out there, folks. Bye for now.